Okay, here we have Tale of Genji by Lady Murasaki. It's a medieval Japanese book, considered to be one of the first novels of all time. Let's get the preface. Content. List the most important persons. Key through Bushu, the Broom Tree, Murasaki. So we have a list of characters in this book. We have the Emperor's widow of the Emperor, um, Genji, father Princess Asako, of course. Okay, moving on. The family tree or the pedigree. At the court of an emperor, he lived, it matters not when. There was among the many gentle women of the wardrobe and chamber one who, though she was not of very high rank, was favored far beyond all the rest, so that the great ladies of the palace, each of whom had secretly hoped she herself would be chosen, looked with scorn and hatred upon the upstart who had dispelled their dreams. Still less were her former companions, the minor ladies of the wardrobe, content to see her raised so far above them. Thus her position at court, preponderant though it was, exposed her to constant jealousy and ill will, and soon, worn out with petty vexations, she fell into a decline, growing very melancholy and retiring frequently to her home. But the emperor, so far from wearying of her now that she was no longer well or gay, grew every day more tender, and paid not the smallest heed to those who reproved him till his conduct. Hmm. Okay, let's make it clear this novel takes place in the Japanese court. In contrast to novels, say, the realistic genre that take place in the lives of everyday people. The messenger had reached the gates of the house. She puts them back, and a strange sight met her eyes. The old lady had for long been a widow, and the whole charge of keeping the domain in repair had fallen upon her daughter. But since her death, the mother, sunk in age and despair, had done nothing to the place, and everywhere the weeds grew high, and to all this desolation was added the wildness of the autumn gale. Great clumps of mugwort grew so thick that only the moonlight could penetrate them. The messenger, okay, so they're just describing the, the place. Let's see if we can skip ahead. All this, the girl answered, he himself had said, and further, that thus my will and judgment I yielded helplessly to a passion so reckless that it caused men's eyes to blink, was perhaps decreed for the very reason that our time was fated to be so short. It was the wild and vehement passion of those who are marked down for instant separation. The dwellers of the clouds, dwellers above the clouds, the emperor. Okay, let's read a bit about this novel. Okay. Tale of Genji, medieval Japanese classic of the world's first novel. Okay. Written by 11th century during Japan's Heian period. Widely regarded as the world's first novel. Mm, Compiled in again the 11th century CE. It's a courtly romance. What's it about? Story follows Hakiru Genji, the Shining Prince, through his romantic entanglements, political fortunes, and the shifting emotional landscape of court life. It's less about plot twists and more about psychological depth, aesthetics, and fleeting nature of beauty. Okay, yes, I think we were able to gather there's spend a lot of time just describing things. The bride, the broom tree. Genji, the shining one. He knew that the bearer of such a name would not escape such much scrutiny and jealous censure, and that his lightest dallyings would be proclaimed to posterity, fearing then lest he should appear, too, after ages, as a mere good for nothing and trifler, and knowing that so accursed is the babbling of gossips' tongues, his most secret acts might come to light. He was obliged always to act with great prudence, and to preserve at least the outward appearance of respectability. Thus nothing really romantic happened to him, and Katano no Shosho would have scoffed at his story. Not sure oh, what would happen. Oh, we'll continue here. Genji lay to his bed, anxiously waiting to see what successful young messenger would execute with what success so young a messenger would execute his delicate mission. What mission? When at last the answer came, astonished at this sudden exhibition of coldness, he exclaimed in deep mortification, "This is a disgrace, a hideous disgrace!" And he looked very rueful indeed. Well, that's an interesting word there, rueful. Huh. I guess it means somber. For a while he said no more, but lay sighing deeply in great distress. At last he recited the poem. I know not the nature of the strange tree that stands on. Oh, this is the poem. Let's recite it. I knew not the nature of the strange tree that stands on Sono plain, and when I sought the comfort of its shade, I did but lose my road, and sent it to her. She was still awake and answered with the poem, too, like I am in these my outcast years to the dim tree that dwindles from the traveler's approaching gaze. The boy was terribly sorry for Genji and did not feel sleep at all. But okay, Genji alone lay plunged in the blackest melancholy, and but even while he was raging at the inhuman stubbornness of her new-found and incomprehensible resolve, he found that he could not admire her the more for this invincible tenacity. At last he grew tired of laying awake. There was no more to be done. A moment later he changed his mind again, and suddenly whispered to the boy, "Take me to where she is hiding." "It is too difficult," he said. "She is locked in, and there are so many people there. I am afraid to go with you." "So be it," said Genji, "but you at least must not abandon me." And he laid the boy beside him in his bed. He was okay. Let's go back a bit. What was he sending letters or something? Genji continued to send letters, but she, thinking that the boy, young as he was, might easily allow a message to fall into the wrong hands, and that she would lose her fair name for no purpose, feeling too that, however much he desired it, between persons so far removed in rank, there could be no lasting union. She answered his letters only in the most formal terms. Dark though it had been during most of the time they were together, she yet had a clear recollection of his appearance, and could not deny to his comely him. Okay, so they're sending letters not too different from the way people in school send letters to each other. Oh, okay. Sister, I am going to Prince Genji. Where is your answer to his letter? So, I wonder if what takes place in the rest of the novel. There's no time to read it all. Um, we'll stop here. Thank you for listening.